Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Star Trucker. A game where you, well, drive a space version of a truck, basically. You know, one of those big ones that delivers cargo. I don't know why, but the idea was really interesting to me. I mean, I know I love sci-fi, but still. Anyway, this game was developed by Monster & Monster, which I love that name, by the way, and published by Raw Fury. Again, really cool name. Released not in early access and selling for $25. So, what is this game? Well, it's basically American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator, but it's in space. And it's just as difficult as those games, but we'll get into that. You play as a brand new trucker who gets a few jobs, gets a truck, and goes about making deliveries, but in space. That's it. So, now let's go into the good and the bad, starting off with the good. The first positive thing that I'd like to talk about is the idea of this game. I mean, it is so freaking cool. I liked the idea of those other truck simulators, but they just didn't quite do it for me. Maybe if you had a driving setup at home and maybe with a portable radio or something, then it'd be, kind of good, especially if it had realistic looking graphics, but till then, it doesn't really do it for me. This game, though, it's space and sci-fi, which I always have a soft spot for, and when you look at the detail in the idea that they have here, it's just really interesting to me. The next positive point is the graphical style and the art design. It's sci-fi, but also realistic, and you can tell that by seeing all the technology around you when you're driving around and doing stuff. It's got great color and contrast, great attention to detail, great lighting, and overall, it was just really nice to look at. The pretty colors and the neon effects and everything else, like it just looked really good, like the entire time I played. Not once did I see something that looked out of place or ugly, and it didn't matter if I was in first-person view or if I was on the outside view while driving. It just all looked good all the time, so that was really nice. Next up for the positives is the sound design. The music is really good, the voice acting was really well done and sounds realistic, and the sound effects were also realistic, super sci-fi-ish, and generally just sounded really good on the ears. It was probably the best part of the game, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong, the graphics are really nice, but the sound quality just really did it for me. I mean, the emptiness of space and the sound effects of what that would sound like, and the air propulsion and the other vehicles and just all that other stuff. Like, I'm not being very articulate, but basically the game just sounded really good overall, and I have no complaints there. Even the music was really nice. And last but not least for the positives is the stability and the price tag. So when you think about how good the game looks, how good the game sounds, and how well the game plays, that price tag, it's actually really nice. I mean, it's not asking for too much. It's not an early access title, and who knows how many hours this game could bring you of content. So overall, the price match is better, like way better than I thought it would have. As for the stability, the game never broke on me that I could see. It never glitched, it never froze, it never stuttered or dropped frames or anything really. It just ran very smoothly, which always helps the enjoyment level of a game and is always really nice to see, especially for a game that just releases. I mean, it used to be, back in the day, a fully released game, you wouldn't have to worry about it, and only early access games you had to worry about it. Not anymore. Now, anybody can come out with a game that's broken and buggy as hell. So, it is nice when you see it. I hate the fact that I have to mention that that's nice, because you shouldn't have to with fully released games. But still, point is, game ran smooth, game ran well, never broke or crashed on me. That's all you need to know. So, moving on. But, actually, that's all the positives I have to say about the game. So, now we got to go into the negatives. But before I get into that, make sure that if you found this video entertaining or at least informative, to consider supporting my channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified of when I next review a game. Every little bit counts, and I super mega appreciate you all. Alright then, let's go on to the negatives. I think the first negative that I'd like to point out is more of a minor one, but still needs to be mentioned, which is the tutorial. It's incomplete, in my opinion. They teach you for a little while, and it feels like a tutorial, and then randomly they basically just give up and they're just like, hey, if you need anything else, then read this really long, annoying book, and they shove that book into your glove compartment. Like, what? You still get pop-ups every now and then, but the information they give you is rather vague and unhelpful. For instance, the game tells you about certain things like power cells for your systems, right? But nothing else about them. Like, do you repair them? Do you have the ability to recharge them? Do you have to buy replacements, or is there an alternative? And I could keep going, but I think you get the point. For a game with this much detail and this much going on, it needed a more in-depth tutorial and maybe a little bit of a slower tutorial. The game does kind of just throw you into the deep end with these minor, tiny tutorials, and it's sink or swim. I actually had to restart right after finishing the tutorial because the game caused me to die, basically, and I didn't know what to do or how to prevent that. Not cool. Next up for the negatives is the gameplay. Now I have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to try to keep it short for the video, and also another rather minor point. In general, the gameplay has a solid idea: truckers in space. And to be honest, I was really hoping that the game would be a little bit more quirky and fun and wacky, but it was just not. It's legit just American Truck Simulator in space. It takes itself far too serious. It has a tech tree where when you gain levels and you gain perk points, you can unlock new stuff, which for in the beginning is basically just newer, harder contracts. It has customization of your truck and upgrades for your truck. All fine so far, but then when you get into the bread and butter of the game, it's pretty much just the same thing over and over again. Go here, pick this up, go there, drop this off. So the gameplay design is a bit bland and repetitive. I suppose there is a level of replayability and addictive quality to it, but unlike Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator, there's nothing really beautiful or fun to watch while you're traveling. In fact, due to the next negative point, it's actually more frustrating than fun. I guess the reason for the gameplay being in the negatives is simply because when you break it down to its base fundamentals, it's just boring and not very creative. If you look at just the gameplay component, I mean, nothing else, just the gameplay idea. Go here, grab this, go there, drop that. Rinse and repeat. It's not the worst negative to have, but I still wanted to mention it. I mean, most people playing this game were probably expecting this kind of gameplay, and the whole thing about all the options and stuff that you can do both inside and outside of your truck is really cool. Like, there's a lot of buttons, cameras, and you can even go outside to repair your hull. The gameplay isn't that bad, but it's just not good enough to be in the positive, so that's why it's here. You get these jobs and you earn money from them and use that money to buy supplies you might need, fill up on gas, or whatever else you want it for, and that's pretty much it. Last but not least for the negatives is the controls and the mechanics of the game, and this is my biggest pet peeve here. I mean, I thought American Truck Simulator was hard because I did try to play that game, but holy crap. Now, imagine that game and you take away gravity. It's really, really hard to maneuver your big-ass truck and your cargo while in space. It was hard enough when you had gravity, but now taking it away, and at the very least, make our trucks more resilient, maybe. I mean, we're in space. You'd think our trucks would be made out of sturdier material, but the smallest little bump, and whoops, time to go back outside and repair it. And that's not all. I thought the AI vehicles out there would at least have average intelligence, but since when do other trucks just randomly ram into you for no reason? I was minding my own business, chilling by the side of what the game would consider a road, and next thing I know, this giant truck just rams into me and sends me flying. I didn't do anything wrong, but they caused me to fail my quest because they damaged the fragile goods in the back of my truck, and I wasn't in the way of the normal trade route, so why did that happen? And until that point, my fragile trade goods were fine. But they did so much damage to my truck that I died 4 times trying to get the damn hull repaired. And you don't really have a choice either. Like, the smallest dent in your truck, and you're forced to pull over somewhere, hop out, and make repairs, because otherwise you die. There's not enough save points around for you to park. Not like it matters, because with the lack of gravity or any helpful computers to help guide you or land you or whatever, and you have to do everything manually, it takes you forever to park or land. And by the time you do, you're dead. So whenever you've got this problem and you're leaking oxygen, you just need to hop out, no matter where you are, and start repairing it or you're dead, and hope nobody rams into you. If they wanted to make it realistic and dangerous and stuff, fine, but don't make it ridiculous. I was hit by so many other trucks despite me doing nothing wrong that it made it almost impossible to complete any mission without damage. I died so many times in just the first hour that I lost all hope of finding my own groove within the game. Alright, so that's all I have to say negatively about the game that I felt worth mentioning. The bad aren't all that bad, but the good are pretty good, except for that last negative point. That one's pretty bad, and I think your truck needs to be made a little bit sturdier, and the AI trucks out there need to be made a little bit smarter. But overall, though, I think the game isn't that bad. I mean, it's got an affordable price, it's fully finished, it's got serious time and development behind it with a solid idea, and for the most part, everything is melded together fairly well in terms of the developmental quality. It is a bit too hard and complicated for me, and the AI and other vehicles need to be fixed because that shit was ridiculous. But otherwise, I think it's a fine game, especially if you like those other Truck Simulators games, then you're going to feel, especially at home here. Do I recommend it? Sure, I guess. I mean, it's not doing anything wrong, not really. It's not broken, and it is designed really well. The controls are awkward, and you can't really map them, at least not that I could find, so it's going to take some getting used to, but just know what you're getting into, that it's a lot harder than you might think, and be prepared to spend hours learning its flow and mechanics. But for $25, with all the quality the game is offering, all the content that's here and everything else, yeah, I think it's worth it. So yeah, I guess I would recommend it if the idea is interesting to you. Just, know what you're getting into first, alright? Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.